Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to play The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News. Fairly straightforward song, very eighth note bass. There are no 16th note rhythms, but there's still some interesting stuff going on. The bass line's quite interesting, so it's a good one for kind of people who have been beginners and are looking to push to being intermediate. As there's some stuff that's I wouldn't say it was advanced, but it's not your typical root note in eighth notes kind of rock bass line. So some nice things going on in the bass line, but it's just a simple, fairly basic, very professional bass line. It does the job that the bass line needs to do in the song, and that's it. Now, before we get going and look at the intro, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly easing, click the link underneath the video, head over to my website and subscribe. There's a thing saying free bass lessons. Go follow that and you'll find the subscribe form. As a thank you for entrusting me with your email address, you'll get a sequence of lessons over the next 10 days or so that are video and PDF based, that are exclusive to subscribers. Additionally, there's a free monthly song tutorial, again video and PDF format, which is again only available exclusively to subscribers. So that should be a no-brainer. Click on the link under the video, as I said, go do that, and then come back here and we'll go and look at the intro to The Power of Love. Okay, you just heard the intro played with the MIDI file. It's a 10-bar pattern, and once you've got this down, you've got pretty much the basics for most of the tune, apart from the bridge, because the first part of the intro uses what becomes the chorus kind of pattern, with some slight variations, when we look at chorus 1 and chorus 2, we'll see. And then the next part of the intro uses the pattern that's the verse. So we'll do the first 6 bars of the intro, and starts off with a 2-bar pattern that you'll see again in the chorus. So we've got 3 C's, 3rd fret of the A string, 5 open E's, 3 F's at the 1st fret of the E string, 3 G's at the 3rd fret of the E string, and 2 B's at the 2nd fret of the A string. And that kind of sounds like it's an odd thing, but it's kind of the way that the bass line drives with some anticipations. So C, E, F, G, B. So that 2-bar pattern repeats once, so it takes you to the first 4 bars. Then there's a variation on it in bars 5 and 6 of the intro, where we've got that kind of hit on the G. So you play 3 C's, 5 F's, 3 F's, sorry, 3 C's, 5 open E's, 3 F's, and 2 stabs on the G, and that you'd have heard that stab in the intro, and then it goes to the pattern which is used for the verse, and what we're playing is something like this. So the basis of the pattern is this figure in the first bar. It's a 2-bar pattern that repeats, and on the second time you sometimes get variations. So the first bar is nearly always the same. So you've got low C, 3rd fret of the A string, octave, 5th fret of the G string, B flat, 3rd fret of the G string, back to the octave of C, 5th fret of the G string, then down to E flat, 1st fret of the D string, and then E flat to F, 1st and 3rd frets of the D string. And then the first time through this pattern, the second bar, we'll do that. We've got 2 more F's, and then octave pattern where we're playing low F, high F, low G, high G. First and third frets of the E and D strings respectively for the F octave pattern, and third and fifth frets respectively of the E and D strings for the G octave pattern. So I play that 4 bars slowly, or those 2 bars rather, and then the next 2 bars before we get into the verse. We don't play the octave pattern this time, we play the 2 Fs, and then we play a low F and an octave F. So that last 2 bars again. And then we're going to go into verse 1. Now, cross-reference that with the play-along with the backing track that I did. Work on those 2 parts separately, then put them together. And as I say, you'll see these parts cropping up again in the rest of the song. Let's go and look at verse 1, where the part obviously crops up again. Verse 1 is a 10-bar pattern, and the verses are usually an 8-bar pattern, but what's happened here is verse 1 goes straight to verse 2, and there's 2 bars that's kind of sandwiched between verse 1 and verse 2 just to split them, and on the original track there's some kind of synthy brass kind of sounds which come in between the vocals and just differentiate the parts. So I've tacked those last 2 bars onto verse 1 here. Now you just heard it with the MIDI file. Let's go through it again. The first is made of this 2-bar pattern. The first bar and the first bar and a half of each 2-bar patterns is always the same. It's always that C, octave C, B flat, octave C, E flat, F, 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 and then what comes next is the variation. So we'll go through it in 2-bar patterns. The first 2 bars. We've got that pattern that you should have learnt in the intro where we're playing F and G in octaves, and the frets are the same as in the intro. The next pattern, bars 3 and 4 of verse 1. Okay, so what you've got here is you're playing the octave F and then going back to the F and just holding that for a quarter note. Again, you should know all those patterns and fret locations from the intro. That F is the first fret of the E string. Bars 5 and 6. We've got the octave pattern again, F and G in octaves. Bars 7 and 8. Biggest difference there, you're playing B flat, first fret of the A string, and then the low F again, first fret of the E string. That's the end of verse 1. Then you've got this 2 bars, as I said, which kind of is the bridge between verse 1 and verse 2, and that's the pattern with the octaves again. Just that pattern with the F and the G octaves. That's verse 1 with the 2 bar tagged on, leads us to verse 2. Let's go and look at verse 2. Okay, you just heard verse 2 with the backing track. As I explained in verse 1, it's an 8-bar pattern, and again we'll do it in 2-bar sections. Most of these patterns we've already covered. First 2 bars. Finishes with again that ascending octave pattern, F and G in octaves. Bars 3 and 4. Almost identical, but you're not playing the octave notes on the F and the G. So instead of playing, you're just playing. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. Bars 5 and 6. got the octave pattern again. And then bars 7 and 8, which leads us to the chorus, tiny variation. So you're playing 2 Fs, 2 of the low Fs, the first fret of the E string, and a G, the 3rd fret of the E string, and that sets up chorus 1. So that's the next section. Let's go and look at chorus 1. Okay, chorus 1 is an 8-bar pattern, and then there's a bar on it with a stab, and then you've got 4 bars that leads us back into the verse pattern. Chorus is based on this pattern we looked at in the intro. For the first 6 bars, with one variation at the very end of the 6th bar, it's just this basic pattern. Which we covered in the intro. So 3 Cs, 5 open E's, 3 F's, 3 G's, 2 B's, and we did all the note locations in the intro. So that pattern plays without variation twice. So here's the second time through the pattern. Then the third time through the pattern, there's a slight variation. Third time through the pattern is what you've got is, instead of going up to the B, you play an extra G, so 3 Fs, 4 Gs, and an open A, and then that leads to, which is 4 B flats, first fret of the A string, 4 at low Fs, first fret of the E string again, then a bar of Gs, and then a stab on G. Then the end of that bar, the 11th bar, we've got a B flat on the and of beat 4, which leads us to this 4-bar pattern, which then sets up verse 3. So that 4-bar pattern again is the pattern you've learned already in the verse. The first time through uses the octaves, second time through just hits the low notes. Then you repeat the 8-bar verse, so look at verse 2, you'd repeat verse 2, and then you'd be back into the chorus, which leads to the bridge. I'll go and cover the second chorus going into the bridge as a separate section. Okay, you just heard the second chorus going into the bridge. The first 8 bars of this chorus are identical to what we looked at in the previous chorus. So it's the same up to that stab on G, which we don't have. So I'll just play through it slowly and you'll be able to cross-reference everything. Okay, and here's where the bridge comes in, and what we've got is another 10-bar structure plus a stab. Everything's played in 8th notes, so it's reasonably simple. The first bar is E flat. You're going to play E flat, the 6th fret of the A string. Then a bar of, you're going to play D, 5th fret of the A string. Then a bar of C, 3rd fret of the A string, then a bar of F. You're going to play the octave at the 3rd fret of the D string. Then you're going to play a bar of A flat at the 4th fret of the E string. Bar of G at the 3rd fret. Bar of F at the 1st fret. That's all the E string. Then a bar of B flat, the 1st fret of the A string. Back to A flat, 4th fret of the E string. Then a bar of G at the 3rd fret of the E string. Then you've got a stab. That stab is on the G note. And then again on the and beat of beat 4, you use a B flat to get into the pattern. So those are all the basic parts you need to put this song together. On the web page where this is located on my website, I'll put a detailed roadmap so you can put all the parts together and so it all makes sense. But those parts are the basic parts that you need. You put them together and you're able to play through this tune. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll catch you in next week's lesson.